Welcome to Emotional Breakdowns. And once again, we're here with Thereault, and today we're going to be talking about dreamers, right? Dreamers. Why dreamers, Lori?
So, thank you again for having me, first of all. And, the podcast Emotional Breakdown is what Ada has put out there today, and we'll continue to build on it. So I hope to continue to be a frequent flyer as we talk about the emotions. But today we're going to talk about dreamers, and dreamers are a rare find, believe it or not. They only represent, in my world, about 10% of the clients I see are able to communicate a dream, and some are able to execute on it. Some may never in this lifetime execute on it, and that's the sad part.
That's true.
That's the sad part.
That's what we were talking. That we decided to do actually these the podcast on dreamers, because dreamers and visionaries are the same, right? And what happened is that there is the whole society out there believes that you can make a dreamer as you can make a leader, and you can make, and the make is not really you can't. This is the whole point of work it, because through numbers you can actually subtract that personality, or get out that personality that we grow up until we're 10 years old.
Yeah, so what I do is I'm able to work with children as young as 9 to really see where their strengths lie. How they learn, how they communicate, how they lead. And like Ada said, not everyone is a leader. Ladies and gentlemen, not everyone is a leader. There have to be some soldiers out there. Otherwise, we're just having personality conflicts. Trying to run everybody's show at the same time. So it's very important to understand that not everybody is a leader, not everybody's a dreamer, and not everybody's a visionary. So,
and even here we're in the United States, right? And it's kind of interesting how for the immigration, they started doing the dreamers, getting all those dreamers. What do we identify a dreamer as, right? And a lot of people have a belief or a concept of a dream is somebody who dreams. And dreams, where are the dreams? Are they in the past? No, they're in the future, because you dream with something. So you're not really dreaming, you're projecting reality, right? And if you believe in law of attraction or whatever it is that you believe, you're going to use those tools. But with Lori, what I really got from there, because I am a dreamer, and she's the very first one that told me that, and not even a dreamer, because a dreamer, everybody said, oh, you're a dreamer, and they see it as a bad thing, like you cannot really achieve dreams. But for me, when she told me I'm a visionary, I'm like, oh my God, that's why I live in the future. Because I always say, I go to the future and I come back. I go to the future and I bring information and I bring it here. So that is the same as a dreamers. That's why we are naming this emotional breakdown. Today, the topic is dreamers, because we are dreamers. We are the visionaries. We also do vision boards. And I said, can you imagine doing, projecting your future with 2 visionaries? That would be like perfect, because we can see things that other people don't see.
it's like putting high octane gas in your gas tank. To be able to do a vision board with 2 visionaries who are able to confirm what you want for your life is truly it's truly something.
Yes, but you know what? Something just occurred to me. Imagine we are like in a cartoon, and there is 2 superheroes, and one is good and one is bad, right? Let's put the visionary as the good one. Who will be the bad guy?
So, like you brought up, there are individuals that are deemed visionaries or dreamers, and a lot of them are really stuck into the science of today, where they are a little bit stubborn about changing things for tomorrow. So they only see what has worked in the past and how it exists today. So those people could be misclassified as dreamers because they are so scientific and they
because they can see that, because they see how the pattern of the past was, and according to a statistic how it worked, it's going to work this way. And it can be numbers and it can be statistics, but it can also be, you can access information. Because how did Nostradamus, for example, with a mirror, look at the future and predicted all these things? There is different dimensions, different fields, call it whatever you want, right? But there's also science, because now there is metaphysics. And metaphysics have proved a lot of the things that the other science that haven't been able to prove, right? So with that, how can you project your future? And what happened is, the main reason we're talking about dreamers is because a lot of the dreamers get their dreams or the visions squashed by those people that are deemed dreamers, deemed visionaries, correct?
Yeah, so the dreamers that, I do an assessment and I'm able to identify those dreamers in the world. So it's a great day when I do identify, because it's only about 10% of the world that I encounter that are dreamers. So we have a great time in my 2-hour session talking about what their dream actually is, and making a plan to surround it so that they don't get squashed like Ada and I have, because we're both dreamers, over the years of, you're crazy. Why would you even think of doing that? You can't make money doing that. And
all those beliefs that they squash your dreams with,
Yeah.
It's besides being a dreamer, and that's the part that it's been hard for me. I'm an entrepreneur, because with Lori's test, you can also, she will give you all the parts of your skills you have, natural skills, not built skills. So with that, when I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a dreamer. So I'm like, I want to have this business, and I'm going to do that, and I start dreaming, which it is good, but I need, steps. There is a process I need to follow. But since I'm a dreamer,
you're at the end goal already.
I'm gonna be exactly. So now how I put that, because I have trained myself, I have to put goals: 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, and then 3 years. So projections, right? But I had to learn that, because nobody gave me the green light until Lori came in. You're an entrepreneur, and I'm like, I'm an entrepreneur, but what do I fail? And the fail is because I don't have discipline, I don't have there is different things.
So you need to surround yourself with the people that do have that, without squashing the dream. Yes. So in a previous podcast, Ada and I talked about people surrounding yourself with too much structure for our personalities is detrimental. It would actually cause us to sleep way more than the 5 hours that we normally need. We'd probably sleep 10 and maybe even stay home for a week because it's just, we are now confused by our dream because we have detail-oriented people taking it apart. And
making us doubt.
Yeah, making us doubt.
Yes, and really it's been, like, for me, it's been really hard. And I talk to other people, and that's kind of like when I see that it can be a dreamer, I still don't have what you have. I cannot recognize a dreamer. I can still be fooled by a 48 that looks like a dreamer or talks like a dreamer, because it seems like they tap into the future, right? Like they're having a vision, but that vision is not really clear.
I was joke with people saying, I can see it, I can almost touch it, and I could feel it. And, that's when you get the funny looks saying, okay, Lori, all right, next.
Exactly, because there is, and the way this works, so people understands, it's almost like me. There is a situation developing here in the present, but according to how these people is playing their roles, I can see how that different reality, what that possibility can be. I see 1 or 2 possibilities of how that can turn, and by that feel feel, like you said, I can see it, I can feel it, and then, or some other times you said, oh, like Lori's so on with the thing. She's like, oh, this is going to happen. And then I go and I'm like, oh my God, you were right. You were right. How do you do that?
Yeah, I don't know how I do that. But, in the 8 years that I've been doing what I do, obviously I've let loose on a gift that I had been building all my life, and able to align people to a job that doesn't feel like work, but affords them the opportunity to achieve whatever goals they have in life. So I have to say that, whatever it is, just happens naturally for me. So I'm just able to feel it with my gut and say it, and let the people come back and say, oh my gosh, you were right. So 8 years of that. So I guess I got something that other people do not have.
Yes. And for me, actually, the way I see being a visionary, it's that I want to be in the future most of the time. If I go in the past, makes me sad. A lot of different emotions come, and this is emotional breakdowns, right? We are talking in this podcast, emotional breakdowns, because all these things can take you to an emotional breakdown. How would you break down a dreamer?
So dreamers, in my opinion, when they are direct and they crave the stage like Ada and I, we tend to be very emotionally intelligent. So not only are we dreamers, but we have the EQ that balances out the critics, the naysayers, all that stuff. So we're very tough-skinned, and we know what we feel is correct, and we have enough strength in our voice and in our leadership skills to be able to face it and move around it. There are visionaries out there that are quiet. They're quiet, they're not direct like we are. And Ada and I love to meet those people because we will be their voice and help them achieve their goals and their dreams. But again, we have to meet with them. So a lot of those introverted dreamers end up having their ideas stolen, or they never communicate them, they just keep them to themselves. And then when the idea 10 years later is a normal thing, they speak up and say, that was my idea.
Exactly. That's what we have find out, because being a dreamer, being in the future, tapping into that future, means that you access that energetic field that has things that still don't exist, or maybe are somewhere in another part of the world where somebody also thought about that, talking about Akashic records, right? Somebody has that information in the collective energy, but that one is not doing anything, but this one is doing something over here. So anybody can have that dream, but you also need that action. And then talking about the people who doesn't have voice, who are not direct, I would love them to leave comments or ask questions in here, because in other podcasts, when we do live, we can talk to them,
sure,
right?
Absolutely. The dreamers out there that are not supported, they don't have a support system around them. They've been critiqued for their ideas maybe, and then they just clam up, they just shut up. Those are the ones that excite us, that energize us, because we can relate to you and we can help you with a plan to actually, have yours be in front of the others when the others are ready to dream your dream.
I know, and Lori, now that you're saying that, I'm also thinking, because there is just so many things that we talk off camera that when we're here, I really want to, tap into those topics. And a lot of the things that happen out there, I said, how have somebody, we're very direct. We're very strong. We have empowerment. We have good skills. But what will take you and me to go into an emotional breakdown?
Okay, so where we might go into an emotional breakdown is if, number one, we're surrounded we're kind of boxed in with a lot of fact-based people, putting rules around us, and we feel like there's not an easy exit. So that would be one area that we could feel emotionally.
Yes, and that can happen in your marriage.
Mm-hmm.
That can happen in your work, and that can happen with your kids. It can happen anywhere, and that's why we're having all these mental breakdowns. And here we're talking about emotional breakdowns. Why? Because emotional breakdown is when you break down because you cannot hold or deal with that emotion anymore. For example, a lot of people is like, I'm sad, a lot of sadness after COVID, a lot of grief. All those emotions are emotions that can get you sick, right?
Well, 70% of the world, actually, their mind is most comfortable reminiscing about the past. So during COVID, there was less chances of making memories. Right? Because you weren't really hanging out with your family and friends. So what did they do? They reminisced on the days before COVID. Yeah. Ada and I, we don't reminisce too often. We acknowledge it, but then we are telling you about what we see for the future. And I know sometimes it's just not understandable by most people. And we have to kind of pull ourselves back to bring the compassion to people who are constantly talking about, people that have passed maybe. Mm-hmm. During COVID, they weren't really able to bring closure the way that they used to bring closure. Yes. So they are really stuck in their emotion. Yes. And that's what we're here for, is to help them move forward so that they can acknowledge, experience, because it's all about the experience. Yes. And somehow document, because they're big documenters.
And I think that's what we're doing here, documenting this, because as of right now, maybe we're already talking about something that is going to be big 5 years from now, because it has happened to us before, right? So right now, what we're saying is pay attention to your emotions. But your emotions are a creation, at least from this point of view, from your personality, that was built from 1 to 10 years old, or 12, whatever that bridge gap is. And then you're going to die with that same personality. There's traits that, and psychologists, they can tell you this, right? But with Lori, what happens is that she has transformed that. She will say, this is your personality, but that doesn't have to hold you back. Mm-hmm. Using one of your weaknesses can be a catalyst to do something better, right? Instead of using it as a big stone that holds you down.
Yeah, so in my program, there's no such things as weaknesses, because we identify that need to hold on to the past as a strength. So let's take a look at how you can get a job that actually allows you to do the research and the taking it back to the past constantly, to get you in a comfortable place. But it's also where your ego lives, and your ego can get you in trouble. We all know that.
Oh, yes.
And the ego of being always driven for facts before you make a decision, that can hold you back from leading your best life. And that's something that I catch very quickly, so that we make sure that the steps that you create for the rest of your life are not hindered by your strength, by your ego. So that's important.
And that is very nice, because, Lori can catch you with that. And I'm very emotional. And like with me, I'm always like, oh, I want this. And I'm very direct. That is the other one. When I learned how direct I was, I think I'm a 48 in direct. So I have to watch what I say. Because sometimes I hurt people, not even wanted it, because nobody hurts no one. We all hurt ourselves, right? But with our words, some people can get offended. So me being too direct, I have to be careful. So all these things, besides being a visionary or a dreamer, and being all these other ones, when you have the perfect recipe to use this with the tools, that we get. Lori gave me a lot of these tools. That's why I am sitting here and I want to extract all the information and put it out there for you.
So Ada comes from Guatemala, and she tells me that it's the land that has the most volcanoes. And I can tell you that our personalities are like volcanoes. If we have too much negativity and too much buildup to where we've had to sugar our words too often, eventually what happens is the volcano erupts. So, talking about that emotional breakdown, it takes a lot for our personalities to break down, but it's like a volcano. It starts to rumble, and then eventually what happens is the people that we have been walking lightly on get it full force because they're just not hearing us. So, again, it builds up in time.
And we are, I'm going to start, wrapping up, but I wanted to tell you a story when I worked. I used to work in a hotel in Denver, Colorado in the 90s. And there was this woman who was an engineer, and she was one of the big bosses. She was so structured. She was so black and white. I don't even know how to describe it, but when she saw me, she's my opposite. And she will want me to not do this, to not do that. She would try to put me in a box, like what you said. And that actually started making me stress and feeling like somebody's cornering me, putting me in a corner. And that would be stretching my elastic band, but also I had a breakdown. Because when I get like that, what happens? I snap and I quit. I quit.
It's abrupt ending.
Yeah, it's abrupt. So that's my breakdown. That's my breakdown before my breakdown takes over. Because that's the other thing. Emotional breakdowns is we're showing you what's taking you there. So you decide not to take that path. You can take the other one so you don't have it. Right?
I think another topic for our next podcast might be signs of an emotional breakdown.
Signs of an emotional breakdown.
Because many people ignore them.
Signs of an emotional breakdown. So for next one, is there anything you want to wrap up with the
I think
dreamers?
We're dreamers, so this was fun, and dreaming for other dreamers out there should be fun and not stressful. So if you're a dreamer and you've got a great innovative idea, we definitely want to hear from you. We want to work with you. And
we will not steal your idea. We will help you build it up.
Absolutely.
Right?
We will be just as excited as you once were. Because the only reason you would be coming to us is if somebody's deflated your enthusiasm. So we look forward to reinflating that enthusiasm into you so that you can make your dreams come true.
Yes, we welcome all those dreamers over there. And if you think you're one, you don't know if you're one, you can come to Lori. She can help you, as she said, first with the test that she does, and then with the steps to help you create your future, the one you're really supposed to have in this life. Okay, so we'll see you next time. Thank you, Lori. Thank you, everybody over there. And we'll see you next time. And Lori, we did it again.
Workatcareers.com.
Yes.
Bye.